Okay, I think that everybody is hearing me. So, welcome to the What's New in Human Resource for the V19. It's a pleasure to see all of you there. I hope it will be good. It's our most impactful talk of the day. It's still stressful, so let's try. As usual, you got a QR code. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the talk, like 20 minutes, depends the time that we take. If you have a question and it's not answered today, not today, but in this talk, there is an Ask Me Anything later in the afternoon with the same QR code. And if there is still no answer, we have a booth, don't hesitate to come and say hi. Okay, a word that I will say a lot, it's growing. And as on many topics and development that we made, the HR Day itself in the OX space is growing. So this year there will be 2 HR Day. Today is the first one, as you can see with the agenda. We will focus mainly on the new things that we bring during this version, so between 18 and 19. There is a lot of them, so we needed to split. If you have only one talk to attend, it's this one. This one is the best. But if you have to have multiple information, we will talk after that on skills, attendance, so check-in, check-out, the employee versioning timeline, what's new in payroll for 1 hour because there is a lot of things to say, the Ask Us Anything, like I said, and we will finish with a focus for the payroll in Switzerland and the SwissDex certification. Tomorrow, we've got another set of talks, and it's more about discovering what we are doing. Because we think that on the Saturday, the audience will be more about, okay, I heard about Odoo, I heard about the human resource, but what really can I do with your application? What can I do with the fleet application? How can I get the best out of attendance or appraisal? So it will be for tomorrow. And if you cannot be there tomorrow, don't hesitate to ask if you have some question later at the booth. Okay, so let's start. I took a snowball because for those who were there yesterday, you heard that Fabien talked about the payroll and the HR process for 5 minutes. For you, it was 5 minutes. For me, it's more than the 4 years altogether multiplied by 5. So really, this year, we talk about HR. Well, for me, it's my day-to-day life, but for you, Odoo in general, it's something big, it's something new, and we put a lot of effort and a lot of value into it. We made some minor changes on some application, but there is some big major changes into other ones. For the one that will be into migration, I apologize in advance. So first, we will talk about employees. In employees, the story starts in Christmas 2024. We were talking with some partner in not Netherlands, in Luxembourg, and we were facing one issue. It was simple. If I change something on my employee profile, like let's say my private address, and it impacts my payroll, the fact that I change now, I cannot rectify a payroll change in the past. But maybe I moved like 3 weeks ago and I didn't tell the HR. So in fact, we needed something to have a versioning system, to can say my information now was different in the past or will be different in the future. So all that historic system has been included. And while we were at it, we said, okay, if we change it, let's change everything. The contract model, the employee model, it's complicated, it's complex to configure, it takes too many time, let's fuse them. Now all the information of the contract are inside the employee application. And let's not stop there. People talk about the learning management system, we will create one and include it into employee. And at some time, some other team make a revamp of the My Profile. Let's do it also. On the employee public, let's put some smart button to make it easier. Let's change everything. But it's a lot of things to understand. It's easier to show you than to just say it, so Rana will have that role.
Thank you, Geoffrey. So I'm going to go ahead into the employees application, and as Geoffrey mentioned, the contracts and employees have been merged together. So if I go and look at one of my employees' profiles, and I go under the payroll tab, now I see that all of the fields that used to be on the contract are now directly on the employee. So I have the contract start and end date, the wage, and so on. Of course, any fields that come with a localization will also be here as well. Now, with the merge of the employee and contract comes the employee records. So here we have an example of Audrey, who moved sometime in the last month, but she actually did not inform me of that change. So now I need to add that change to her profile, but I also need to add it with the correct date. So all I need to do is I'm going to click on the plus button up here to create a new employee record. I'm going to set the correct time for when she moved, and I can just change her homework distance right here. Now, once I've done that, if I switch between the different records, I see that it's only going to be there in the most recent record where I've changed it. So that's great, but I want to see the history of Audrey's profile. So if I go up here and the smart buttons, and I see that I have a smart button for history, so clicking on that, I'm able to see all her progression through the company. So I see that she started out as a trainee. She had a 1-year contract. After that ended, she had another 1-year contract as a consultant, and then she has her current contract that has started on January 1st, and on that same contract I have the latest record that I just created, but it did not affect or change the contract. So all of this is really going to make my employee handling process a lot easier and a lot smoother. Now, for the next 2 features that I'm going to show, they're going to help me manage my employees in bulk. So let's take this scenario. Every summer, we have an internship program where students or young graduates come to work with us for a period of 6 months. Now, in order to make all the admin processes easier, we have the intake on the same day, and their contracts also end on the same day. So this actually is what just happened. I have the trainees whose contracts all have ended yesterday, but I have not gotten around to archiving them yet. Now, before, I would have had to go through each one and archive it separately in order to go through the employee termination wizard. But now I can simply add the filter that I need, select all of them, and then under the action button, I can click on the archive. Now I get the employee termination button, I set the correct departure reason, and I can also click on here to archive the user as well. Now I just apply, and just like that, I've archived all of the employees. Now, on the opposite side of the process, I have the new batch of full-time employees who are starting work today. So I've already added all of their information on the system, but I have not yet given them access to the system. So I haven't created their users. So the new thing here is that I'm going to be able to do that as well in bulk. So I've filtered out the employees, and then I'm going to select them. Again, from the action button, here I'm going to click on create a user. Now, Odoo gives me a warning that I have to be sure that I have enough users in my license in order to proceed with this. And then I click on confirm. And the users are created with the default access rights. So let's go ahead and take a look at the beginnings of the learning management system. So we see that we have here a new menu. And under that menu, we have a few new things. So let's go first and take a look at the certifications. So the certifications, we can set them up from the skill types menu, and we just set that it is a certification. Once we've done that, I can add the certification for my employee, add the correct timing with an end date if that's applicable. And here I will be able to see all of my employees' certifications, and they'll be grayed out if the certification is no longer valid. The next thing we have is the training attendances. So for the training attendances, we have several types of trainings. We have the external trainings, which are not prepared by me, they're prepared by an external entity. And then we have e-learning trainings, which are linked to the e-learning module on Odoo. And then we have the on-site trainings, which are trainings that I'm preparing and giving to my employees. Now, in this menu, I'm able to do some grouping, so I can group by type to see what type of training is more valuable for my employees, or I can group by employee to see who are the employees that are attending these trainings and what trainings they're attending. Now this is really great to see it as an overview, but if I want to see it for a specific employee, I can also see it on their employee profile. So let's take Tina as an example. And if I go on her resume, on her employee profile, and I scroll down, I see the different trainings that she has taken. And I can also see the certifications that she has with all of the relevant information. So this is really good. It helps me keep track of what my employees are doing and what trainings they find most useful. Now, for this next feature, I'm actually going to need to switch over to the profile of Mark Demo. So far, I've been logged in as Mitchell Admin, who is an HR administrator, so he has access to see all the HR information. But now I'm logged in as Mark Demo, who doesn't have any special HR access rights. So if I go into the employees application, I'm first going to look at Mark's own employee profile. And here we see that we can now see all of the smart buttons that are linked to Mark's employee. So I can see his attendances, his time off, appraisals, and so on from these smart buttons. But of course, I'm seeing this because I'm logged in as Mark, and this is his own information. But if I were to check another employee, I would not be able to see the same thing. So if we go to Ronnie, for an example, I see that I have the smart button for the time off. So if I click here, I'll be able to see when Ronnie is going to be on time off. So if I need to plan something with him, I know when he's not available. But I'm not able to see all of his private information. Now, if Ronnie had any planning shifts, I would be able to see that as well.
Okay. After employee, we'll talk about time off. Time off, there is less stuff. Time off can be very complex. In the time off type, there is a lot of configuration, some new options. Here I will mainly talk about two things. As the one for you that use the application, you know that if you take just 1 or 2 days, it's easy. If you need to take 2 days and a half, it can be quite heavy. Now we change the system, so if you want to take 2 days and a half, you can do it in one click. So it's much easier than before. As the picture showed, the time off application, it's something that has been brought back by the customers. I want to use it for my remote work or my training. So it's not really time off, it's, let's say, time not off. That's how we called it internally. And the idea was to say, okay, I want to take a full week of remote work, but unfortunately, I was home and I was sick. Before, what you had to do, and I'm not saying it's bad because V18 and 17 are wonderful, but 19 is even better. Now, you don't have to cancel the remote work week, create one day on the Monday, one for the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on the Tuesday put the sick day. You can just put the sick day on top of the remote work or on the training. And it will allow you to manage those specific use cases about time, which is not an absence, but a working time, with all the powerful options of the time of application. Rana, if you can show us.
Of course. So let's go ahead into the time off application and take a look at some of those things. But first, I want to show something here that I think is really cool. So if I switch into the weekly view, I need to take a few hours off on Monday. So to do that, I'm going to switch over to next week, and I'm going to highlight the time that I'm going to be out of office. And when I do that, I see that on the wizard that's created, it's taken the time from what I highlighted on the calendar. Now I just need to confirm the time off type and submit the request. So this is super quick and easier than ever. Of course, I do need to make sure that the time off type that I'm applying for does allow me to take it in hours in the first place. But now the next thing I'm going to do is...
And it's an half circle.
Yes.
When you think an half circle.
Exactly. So for next month, I'm going to also apply for a time off request, but this time I'm going to be taking 2.5 days. So I know that I'm going to need to be away for Monday and Tuesday, but only half the day on Wednesday. So in order to do that, I'm just going to select the 3 days that I'm going to be off, and then I'm going to specify that on the last day, I'm only gone for the morning. So I see that automatically Odoo has calculated for me the 2.5 days, and then I submit the request, and it's taken also from my allocation only the 2.5 days. Now we get into the time not off, as Geoffrey said. So for this, it's a really helpful feature if I want to keep track of when my employees are in the office versus when they're away, and also if I want to allocate them specific days where they're allowed to work remotely. So for the end of October, I'm going to be taking 2 weeks of remote work. Now, on the time off type for the remote work time off, I've made sure to set it as working time rather than absence. Once I've done that, I've also configured it to allow an extra request on top. So I'm just going to submit the request, but just because I'm working remotely, that doesn't mean that I can't get sick. So if I need to apply for a sick leave, I can simply add that on top of here, and I just choose my time off and submit the request. And just like that, I was able to do everything that I need without having to remove time off and add it again.
After that, there is attendance. In attendance, I could talk about little topics that we made. On the kiosk, we've got the presence indicator. We've got a new security-wise to make you an officer without touching with the settings. But we added one major task. And for the story, it was the latest task that we merged last Tuesday. So it's 1 week old on the database, and it's the extra hours scenario. For those that I met last year, more of the time, when you were not talking about payroll localization, it was always the same topic, extra hours. I want to have got my extra hours. I want that my extra hours are on the Saturday, more than 8 hours, more than 12 hours. I want this or that or that. And every company, I understand it, it's legit, every country have its own rules. We cannot put all of them standard in the system. So what we made was an engine. Now there is an engine in attendance that will allow you to set your own attendance rule in a set that you will put on the employee. And it's up to you to say, is it a timing, is it a quantity? And later we will include more options. But the demonstration will show you how powerful it is.
Okay. So before I go into the back end of the attendance application, actually, I just want to quickly show something on the kiosk mode. So here I have the kiosk mode of attendance, and if I click on identify manually, I see the list of my employees, and then now I'm able to see their presence on the system. So I see who's checked in and who's absent without ever having to go into the back end. Now that we've seen that, let's actually go into the back end and see the feature that everyone's waiting for, which is the overtime rule sets. So let's first take a quick look on how this has been set up. So I have here my rule set for overtime, and inside it the rule that I've created. So this rule, I've set it up to be based on the quantity, so how many hours have been worked. And the condition is that this is the hours that are worked on a specific day exceed the amount defined on the contract, and I can also set up a tolerance in favor of the employer if I wanted to. Now the action that's going to be done is that I want to pay out those extra hours to the employee at a rate of 150%. And I also want to use the work entry type, which is overtime hours. I could also choose to give this back as time off, but this is my setup for now. Now that we've seen that, let's go ahead and look at our dashboard. And I happen to know that Abigail has had some extra hours worked yesterday. And of course, this is not going to apply for everyone. I have to make sure to link it to the employee from the settings tab on the employee profile. So if I click on this attendance record, I see the extra hours of 2 hours that she's worked. And then if I expand, I can see the overtime details here. So I see the rules that were applied, the extra hours that were worked, and also the overtime pay rate. So now I'm able to manage all of my employees' overtime by specifying what times exactly should count as overtime for them.
Okay, then the payroll. The payroll, as I mentioned in the beginning, we changed a lot of things. The first state that we had, we were talking with our higher management, to not name it, and we had one statement, it's hard. And we know that payroll is hard and complex, everyone knows that. But it's not because the topic is hard that the software has to be hard. We want to make it simpler and easier for you to use. So less menu, less models, less configuration. And with that statement, we change a lot of things. So we don't talk about batches, we talk about pay runs. It's more or less the same, but the UX has been remade to be much more visual. With the pay runs, we included the issues. The issues were something like you are on a pay slip and the employee don't have a bank account, or you have a pay slip and the employee started at mid of the month. It's a monthly pay, so the period of time doesn't match the period of the contract. So there is some issue like that. Now you will directly see them on the pay run with a visual indicator. So it's much more easier. As you can see, we worked on the work entries. The work entries because we always thought that it was easy because it was automated. It was coming from your contract, it was coming from attendance or timing, planning. And in that case, you don't have to spend a lot of time on the application. But we forget about all those people where their work is to manually encode the work entries from the workers in order to send it some external consultant or stuff like that. So we redo the screen with a lot of options. And last, the properties. The properties, it's not something, to be honest, that all of you will use. But in the use case where you have localization, let's say I will take one that we have, let's say for USA, and in your company there is a specific bonus. Before you needed first to make a rule, but also to add it on the employee profile and maybe on the salary configurator. Our answer will be studio, which means additional cost, or development, which means also additional cost. In fact, it's not very wise marketing, but we were not thinking about the marketing. So here we are making you gaining money because you don't need studio, you don't need external consultancy. You can do everything yourself. You can define the salary rules, go on the employee profile, see, and you add a field by saying, okay, it's the salary rule. You go on the salary configurator and you say, again, it's the salary rule. And everything works together with the same amounts. It really allows you to customize the localization with basic needs and later on more complex one, totally on your own. And for those who are implementing the payroll for other countries, it will really change your life. Okay. Let's check that.
Let's take a look. So let's go to the payroll application, and the first thing we're going to look at is the pay runs. So as Geoffrey mentioned, we no longer have payslip batches, we have pay runs, and as soon as I go into the screen, I can see that it's already a huge improvement. So this looks a lot neater. I'm able to see all of the different statuses of my pay run, and I have all of the information that I need at a glance. But let's go ahead and create the pay run for August. So I could select a specific salary structure, but for now I just want to do the normal payroll for the month, and then I'm just going to adjust the period, and I'm gonna continue. Now, in this employee selection wizard, of course I can filter out specific employees, so if I want to create a pay run for a certain department or job position or so on, but I want to create it for all my employees, so I'm simply going to select them. And then I see that all of the payslips have been created for all my employees. And if I go back into the Kanban view, I see the pay run has been added. So I can directly click on confirm from here, and I see that it's moved into the other stage. Now, if I look a little bit closer, I'll be able to see that the done stage is actually highlighted in orange, it's not in green. So let's click on this and see what the issue is. Now we see that most of my payslips are validated, but I have a warning here. So these warnings usually show up on the form view of the payslip, but now they show up on the list view as well, so I can already tell if any of my payslips have a warning. And now I see that this issue here is because he doesn't have a bank account set up on him. So if I go and click on the employee, I can simply add the bank account, I save, and now if I go back to my pay run, everything looks good. So this is amazing. It's really going to be a game changer for having me do my monthly payroll super easily. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the work entries. So here already what we can see is that the first thing that we notice is a bit of a framework update. So you'll be able to see some of these changes in the Gantt view and other applications as well. but we're here to talk about the work entries. So the first thing about the work entries actually is that now they're only defined by the duration and the date. So there's no longer a start date time and end date time. This makes it so much easier if I need to import and export work entries, and I don't need to have to worry about the starting and ending times. Now the next thing is that if I select one of the slots on my work entries here, I see that I have some options at the top. So I'm going to click on set, and once I've done that, I can choose a work entry type, and I can choose a duration, and I have the option to either add or replace. So I can add a work entry, and here it's added the work entry for me with the duration that I've set. I can do the same thing, choose a work entry type. This time I'm going to choose home working, and it's going to be for the whole day, and I'm going to replace. Now this is really good if I want to edit the work entries one by one, but it's not just that. If I click on a specific work entry, I can also choose to split it. So on that day, for example, Abigail worked from home for the last 2 hours of the day. So we can set that up. Click on confirm, and the system calculates for me the difference and to be set on the original work entry. But what if I need to change several work entries at the same time? That's also completely fine, because all I have to do is select the period that I'm going to be changing the work entries for, and I still have the same options. So I can choose the work entry type, choose the duration, and either add or replace. But what if I made a mistake and I did something that I want to undo, or there's some sort of issue in a certain period? All I have to do is select that period, and then I click on this arrow up here, and then Odoo resets the work entries to what was calculated by the system. So super cool. It's going to make working with work entries even easier than it was before. And now let's go and take a look at the salary inputs. So as Geoffrey already mentioned, the salary inputs are really helpful if you want to do some sort of custom payment to your employees, something that is either outside of a localization, or you want to create your own localization. So this is the case here. I have the transportation allowance that I want to be able to pay to my employees, but I don't have any localization installed, so I don't have that field already on the employee. So I've already created the rule, and here on the conditions, I see that I have a new option, which is the salary input. And when I've selected that, I can choose to either have that input on the employee or the payslip. I'm going to choose to put it on the employee. I can have different sections under which I'm going to put it, but I'm going to keep it on the inputs. And then I choose if that's a monetary value, a quantity, percentage, or checkbox. Then I can even set a default value if I wanted to do that. So now that I've created the rule for the input, let's go and see how I can add that to the employee. So I'm going to go to my employee screen, and I'm going to click on Beth Evans, and I want to give her a monthly transportation allowance. So if I go on the payroll tab and scroll all the way down, I see that I have the option to add an input. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to simply add the amount. So now that I've done that, I'm going to be able to pay out the monthly transportation allowance for Beth, and also this property has been added to all my other employees, so I can set up their transportation allowances as well. But of course, this is just the beginning, so there's so much more in Payroll this year, so make sure to also watch the What's New in Payroll to see everything else that has been done this year.
Yes, next, recruitment. Recruitment, we didn't make as much as the other one, otherwise we don't have time in our 1 hour. In recruitment, we worked on the UX because some screens deserve some love. We also had 2 new features. The first one are the idle system. The idle system, maybe you saw it in a project or CRM. It will be a system that will tell you after how many times an applicant will pop up on the top of the system. For each column, each stage, you will say, after 3 days, this applicant is considered as waiting. Then it means that if you use the right filter, you will see only those who are not moving for a long time. It allows you to more easily manage your team. The other point is that for those who are coming from version 18, we no longer use the candidate model. We have removed that, and instead we work with a talent pool system that will allow you to manage your applicants in some pools, and from that you can assign them to job positions. If you want to show us.
Yes, of course. Okay, so we can already see a bit of a change here. We have, again, the new Kanban view that's very informative and lets me see everything I need. But let's jump ahead into the experienced developer job position. So the first thing that we see is, again, another framework update that Geoffrey mentioned, which is the idle system that shows us here highlighted the records that have been in the stage for too long. So, of course, I'm able to set up on each stage how many days are going to be considered as idle. And from the Kanban view as well, I can see how many days each of these records has been here. So that really helps me make sure none of my applications stay in the same stage for too long. But this year, Skills has gotten a major improvements, and of course that's going to affect the recruitment application. So if we go into Jordan's application and I go into the skills tab, I see not only the skills that he has and their levels, but I also see the job position matching. So this matching percentage is going to be calculated according to the skills and the certifications and the degree required for the job that Jordan has applied to in comparison to the ones that he actually has. So it's not just that I can see it on each application, I can also see it from the list view. So from here, I can already see which applicants are best matched, so I can prioritize the ones that have a higher matching percentage. Now, as Geoffrey mentioned, the candidate system has been removed, but there's no need to worry because now we have talent pools. So let's see how that works, and I'm going to go back to Jordan's application for a second, and I can see that he's a really good candidate, but he's not really very well matched to this job position. I want someone who has a bit more experience, and Jordan is a fresh graduate. So I'm not going to hire him for this job, but I still want to keep track of his attendance for later on. So I'm going to go and click on Add to Pool, and I'm going to choose the talent pool for developers because Jordan's a developer, and also for entry level. And then I click on Add to Pool. Now, if I go to the talent pools menu, I see that Jordan is added to the developer talent pool and also to the entry level talent pool. So this is really good because the next time I'm hiring for an entry-level position, I'm already going to be able to see the people who've come across me before that I can directly create applications for. So this is actually a good example because I do have a job position for a junior developer, but it's not published yet, which is probably why Jordan had to apply for the experienced developer to begin with. But now I'm ready to publish it and I'm ready to start hiring. I don't want Jordan to have to create his own application. I don't want to wait for that. So I'm just going to go to my talent pools and I find Jordan's profile and I'll create the application for him directly. I'm just going to add the job position. And then if I go back onto his record on the talent pool, I see that the Smart button has been updated to show 2 applications. And if I click here, I can see all of the applications that Jordan has on my system, the matching percentage, which stage they're in, and so on. And I can see that I made the right call because Jordan is much better matched with the new job that I created his application in. Now, the last things I want to show, there are small changes that are going to make a big difference to our recruitment officers. So if we go here, we now have the option to reorder the records on the Kanban view, and then they're going to stay that way so that when I come back to this Kanban view, I'm able to have them in the order that I've set up myself. Now, the next thing is about notifications. So sometimes when I'm recruiting for a certain job position, I'm following a lot of records and I'm getting all of the notifications for them. But even when I'm no longer working on these applications, I'm still receiving the notifications. So now what we can do is I select the applications that I no longer want to receive the notifications for. I click on the action button, and I have the option to add or remove followers. So in this case, I want to remove a follower, and I'm going to add Mitchell admin. And just like that, Mitchell admin is no longer following any of those records, but of course we can do the same thing to have him follow several records instead.
Okay, one more, appraisal. Appraisal, at first I was thinking that we didn't do a lot, and then there was one task that took a year too, a little bit like attendance, and it changed a lot of things. There is two families. If you work with appraisal but not with skills management, it's just that we didn't do anything, so it's easy. If you work with appraisal and skills management, and long story short, it's the best way to use appraisal, then we did a lot of things. We improved the skills management, and now you can say, okay, I want my appraisal, like you've seen with the matching position. In my appraisal, I want to challenge myself and say, okay, I want to be CEO one day, maybe. And I can choose that position, and it will tell me on my appraisal, here is the list of your skills, here is the targeted skills, here is the delta, what you need to improve. And to go further, we included a system of goals recommendation. So you can create a goal, and on that goal say, okay, this goal is related to a skill and a level. So let's say that I need to be 100% fluent in English, and at the moment my level is 50%, it will show me the goals that will allow me to reach 60, 17 or 100, not the one that will only be basic level to 40. It's not something that will automatically get your skills higher, but it's some recommendation, like we say. And in order to do that, we needed to have a goals library. It's done. In that goals library, you can create as many templates as you want. And to go even further, now you can include goals into other ones. So your project, your goals library could be like agile methodology, and inside it you have like 5 or 6 sub-goals. So all of them has been really included into appraisal, and we hope that it's the best way for you to jump into the application. A little demo, please.
Of course. Okay, let's go into the appraisals application and see what we have. So first, I just want to show another small change with the goals as well. Now, this year I have a goal for all of my departments to complete the team cohesion workshop. Now, the team cohesion workshop, it's actually not supposed to be completed by one employee. It's going to be completed by the whole department. So I don't want to set a different goal for each employee in the department. Instead, what I can now do is if I click on the employee field and I go to search more, I'm going to filter for the R&D department, for example. I'll select all of the employees, and then I'll click on select, and all of them have been added to the goal. And I can see also that all of their direct managers have been added to follow up on this goal. So now I'm able to set a goal that is for a collective number of employees rather than separately for each employee. But let's go ahead and take a look at the goals library. So in the goals library, I'm able to set up goal templates, a goal hierarchy, and even set skills that are recommended for this goal. So basically, what skill level is this goal going to help me achieve? So if I take a look at this one, for example, we see all of our sub-goals, which one is recommended for which skills, and then the sub-goals of those as well. So let's see it in action. I'm going back to my goals menu, and I'm going to click on Open Library. Here I'll select the Odoo 18 Advanced, and when I click on Continue, I want to set this goal for Abigail and Anita separately. So I'm going to click on Add Goal to Employee. Now, if we see under Abigail, she has 4 new goals, even though I set up 1. And the reason for that is because of the goal hierarchy. So the goal that I set up for her had a sub-goal, had several sub-goals, and one of those sub-goals had its own sub-goals. So let's make it a little bit clearer and go and see one of those goals. I see here that I have a smart button. I'm going to click here, and here I'm able to see the whole hierarchy for my goals and the percentage completion for each one of them. But let's see how those things are going to affect my appraisal. So I have currently an appraisal going on for Jenny Fletcher, who is one of our very talented junior developers, and she is hoping to be promoted to an experienced developer super soon. So as soon as I've confirmed her appraisal, I've set the target job to be an experienced developer. And if I go to the skills tab, I can see the skills that she has compared to the skills that are needed in order to reach the experienced developer. So here, this is her current skill level versus what she's expected to have. And then I see that also Odoo recommends for me some goals to set for her. So yeah, I see that all of the skills that she should reach are covered by the advanced technical training. So I'm going to select that one, and then I'm able to follow up on the percentage completion of that goal. So this is really great because now my employees know exactly what they need to do to get the next promotion and the steps that they can take in order to do that.
Okay. That's all for the demonstration, but as you know, the human resource scope is big and we have other applications. In those, we won't do demo for each one of them, but just to know, in Fleet, for example, we had a new report, which is the odometers report, to show you the consumption of fuel and the distance made by each vehicle. In Approvals, we had some UX with them, and you had the new features which allow you to force the approval and to bypass maybe some approver which is sick or which is not answering. In the third one, in front desk, we had some options from the kiosk to have a cleaner UX, and also for the hosts, when you get an email about the guests that are coming, you have in the email a button now to check out the visitor. So it's something that you can handle on your own. And the last one, the referrals, we also added a new report with the awards and the points that you earned. So there are small stuff, but it's always good to mention because we don't forget our apps, even if they are not major features like the other. And that's for HR. I just want to say as a conclusion that we are growing. Like I said in the beginning, the focus is now on HR. We all believe that it's a topic that will come more and more in the future. To just give you some numbers, the development team has doubled and we are hiring more and more. Last year at the same stage I was the only product owner. Now we are 2 and a third one is incoming. For the business analysts, so the team of Hannah, they are also increasing a lot. And the amount of tasks that we are handling every year is increasing by 50%. So we are working on it, we are hearing your feedbacks. As you have seen, many of them have been answered on this version and we are very proud of that. So if we are growing, it's mainly also because you are asking for it. And thanks to all of you in the audience to be there and to keep having interest in the HR. I also want to thank Juana, because for me it's a Friday, so I cannot explain it so much better. The talent pool was really great. So she made the demonstration, she made all the flows, and she had a good job for that. So please applaud her.
Thank you.
And now we will take 10 minutes for your questions. Take your time, Pierre.
Hello guys, can you hear me well? Yeah?
Yeah,
Is it
I
good?
don't know.
Yep.
All right, like the first question, as usual, is people trying to get you back in Dubai. So I'm not going to take all of those, but again, congratulations for your presentation and to
I
use
could
your
go to
friends.
Dubai if you want.
Yeah.
Never went.
I think they'll be happy to have you
okay.
there.
Is it possible to create mass attendees for multiple employees?
Well, I assume we talk about the attendance system with check-in, check-out. It has been made easier. It's something like in the work entries, in fact. For some business case that we had where people say, okay, I don't want to use the kiosk, I don't want to check in, check out, I want to import the data or I want to manually edit them, you can do some importation. To be honest, it's still not the best and it's something that we will take care of to do the same thinking. Okay, how can we ease that process to generate them all at once or to write them more easily? So now it's possible to do import, but I'm sure it can be better.
Okay, thank you. You kind of mentioned the number of developers, but someone is asking how many developers do you actually have per localization in Payroll?
Per localization. In fact, we are 30 developers now in Belgium. Let's say that there are something like 15 in India and It depends. I will take, for example, Hong Kong. Hong Kong, we have an office in Hong Kong, and there is a developer there, one or two, who are working only on the Hong Kong localization. So it's 2 people. To be honest, at the maximum, you will have 2 developers on a localization. In the end, we hope, we talk with the CTO, and in his big vision, he said 5 developers per localization, and we want to do like 150 countries. So it means that my team will be 600 people. There is a huge gap between 30 and 600, so for the moment we try to have 2 people on each localization.
That's really pretty good. So how can we manage working hours for employees in manufacturing that have different salary per working hour? For example, I pay some employee 10 hours if it's in the day and more if it's in the night.
It's a good one. Let's ask Rana.
Well,
I believe the new attendance.
Yeah, exactly. With the new attendance wizard, we can do that. So we set up the different rates for the different timings.
Yeah, so it's a great question because it was not possible before, and now the new feature helps with that. So
Yeah.
great. Can you create e-learning? I can ask for e-learning. Can you create e-learning plans for employees? So with date in the future, so e-learning must be followed 6 months after start contract.
It's a workaround. You cannot create anything in e-learning because it's not in our scope. It should be. But you can create a goals plan, and in the goals plan you have a deadline for each goal. And in the goal you can add a description, and there you just put a link to the e-learning. So yes, indeed it could be better, but you can already do it with a workaround. And when you will create the plan, it will check for each sub-goal what is the deadline, and it will create you a timeline.
Okay. Another question is about attendance. You mentioned overtime hours. What about deductions for lateness?
It will be coming. So as I said, the attendance task has been really huge, and we merge it like really on the top of the freeze. In a perfect world, you already should have something that instead of saying I work more than my working schedule, I work less than my working schedule. And in that case, the system will create a work entry type that will just complete the different ones in the day. So let's say I work 7 hours instead of 8. In my work entries, I will have 7 hours of attendance and 1 hour of, let's say, unpaid or missing hours. And with that work entry type, you do what you want. Maybe you want to make a subtraction in the payroll, maybe you want just to have a warning for the employee, but at least you will have that visual information. But it should be, it's always difficult to talk about subversion, but let's say 19.1, 19.2.
Okay, thank you, Geoffrey. Are the work entries in Payroll linked to timesheet app or only attendance?
No, it's not only linked to attendance, it can be linked to planning, and no, not timesheet. No.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, it's a question I ask myself, but I'm not always the one to decide.
Yeah, and I believe the idea is that timesheet is more for invoicing customer and attendance to follow the time. But it's true that we have some workaround sometimes.
Yeah.
I know Rana did some workaround where you can have some rules based on timesheet. So
there is some workarounds, and to be totally honest, when we asked about other people to have the meetings, they didn't say no, they say not now. So it's just that before making integration with the other apps, we wanted the work entries to be really something that you can use from scratch. Now that we are more or less there, we will come back with that request to say, okay, let's integrate with timesheet, because I know that there is a big request.
Okay, thank you. There is a pretty long question, so I'm gonna try summarizing it. If I'm not very clear or I miss the point, feel free to join the booth after. But the idea is that will the change of work schedule on an employee affect the remaining time off? Typically, if I'm taking time off by the hours, I won't take as many time off if I have a work schedule that is 40 hours and it's 38 hours. So when switching work schedule to 28, these were recomputed and the remaining balance was no longer accurate.
So you mean for the allocation or the accrual?
Yeah, I'm not sure the question is so clear to me.
It's not really clear, so
yeah,
I could try to answer, but I think that the person who asked the question is welcome to the booth to explain his business case, and it will be easier to take time to answer that. Because I could answer, but it's better to have a clearer explanation.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Does the contract versioning work with salary amounts and pay slips? So if a pay slip is created before and after the salary change, will the pay slip be affected accordingly?
Yeah, so we didn't have time to show it, but maybe you'll show it in the What's New in Payroll.
Spoiler alert, stay in the What's New in Payroll and you will see other mechanisms that we didn't have time to show.
Okay, I know that I have to prepare that because I didn't think about it, but I will take that into account. I already have my question for my talk, perfect. In Payroll again, what kind of errors will be displayed? Because you showed the bank account, but is there something that we can define, some type of errors, a bit like warnings before?
At the moment, there is some mechanism in Payroll where we are between the two. So for example, the properties are working at the same as other input, and it's the same here. The issue are only the errors that you got on top on a payslip. So it's banking account, it's duplicate, it's a long period of time, and maybe a fourth one I don't remember, but it's only those fourth one. Indeed, on the Payroll dashboard, you've got the warnings, and the warnings is an object that you can define yourself. The idea in the end is to be able to take those warnings and also show them in the issue. So in 19, it's not the case, but it's on the roadmap.
Great. I think it's going to help a lot to save some time for the HR officer.
And it will give you the hand to do the warning that you want and show it directly.
Does version 19 have calendar working schedule? I think the idea is maybe not to have week working schedule, so I wouldn't say it's the case. If you can clarify again this question, because I'm not sure what you mean by calendar working schedule. Is Payroll coming to France? I had to ask it.
First time I've got that question. I would like to. So I started in January 2021, and I think that Odoo experience, I told you, it's coming, but it's complicated. So I hope that for the version 20, I told that a lot, I hope it will be true, we could do a declaration to the staff with all the information from the employee profile. I'm not even talking about monthly computation. My point is that in every localization, and mostly France, we are looking for people to give their knowledge, to share it with us, and with that knowledge we can go further. The issue in France is not that we are missing developers or missing the will to do it, it's just that we don't know what to do. It's a complex country with a lot of rules, and we need to find someone, some company or some customer, it doesn't need to be a partner, but someone who come and say, okay, I'm doing it on an Excel file, or I'm doing it with my own program, I know how to compute a monthly pay. Here is the thing, do it, manage it, code it, and I will just do the service. And that's the deal that we are looking for, because Payroll will only and always stay a tool, a good tool, but it stays a tool. The knowledge, the service that you are giving to people will come from you, from the partners, the integrators. So at the moment in France we are looking for that collaboration, and if it comes fast and if the requirements are clear and the knowledge is consequent, it can go really, really fast. For example, we have one developer who made the payroll in Switzerland in less than 1 year. So it's possible, but we need to get that knowledge.
Okay, thank you. So feel free to help us as well. I think we have a bit of a clarification for the previous question about calendar working schedule. The idea is that can we take leaves in calendar days, where we would deduct days from the weekend as well? Like from Friday to Monday would count?
We've made it, but I think in some localization. So it's not something standard yet. Usually we are working, the localization we're in Payroll, but it's starting in time of 2. We are waiting because so many countries are working differently. We are waiting when there is a need. We will do it 1, 2, 3 times. At the 4th time we say, okay, maybe there is something, we will put it in standard. And we do it for some Middle Asia localization, but it's not standard yet. So if you need it, and you didn't have it in the 19 or in the 18, just come to the booth and say, in my country, I need it. So we just know.
Okay. I'm going to ask a last question. I know there is a lot of more. Sorry, we cannot answer everything. Feel free to come with your question at the booth. We will answer that.
Or ask me anything.
Or ask me anything with you, Geoffrey.
Otherwise, for 30 minutes, I will have nothing to say.
So last question for you, and so you can maybe give us a small conclusion after. Does updating the working schedule on the employee profile get updated on all the versions automatically? Are the change tracked for all the fields in HR? So if I'm changing a work schedule on a version, will it adapt on the other one? And are all the change, so the other fields tracked as well?
Yeah, so if you change the working schedule on one version, you don't want it to be changed on the other versions. So it's not. So it will be changed on only the version that you're adjusting, so that you can say that at some point in the future the employee's working schedule is changing, and so on. I'm not sure about the fields being tracked.
Yeah, I don't think the fields, it's also a
Some fields
question.
are tracked, it depends which one, and some fields are kind of magic and will update with the versions.
Yeah, mainly the
If you
contract field.
Yeah, if you have a contract which is going on many versions with the same occupation, if you change like the wage will follow. But it's not the case for all fields, so it's really a one-by-one question.
All right, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to go. Thank you for your question. Feel free, if you have some more, to join us. And thank you, Geoffrey and Rana.
Many
Very
thanks.
clear.
Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.